Hello.
Hello.
We have a special guest tonight, Miss Jacqueline Wilson. Welcome to the Cape MD. We are so happy you could join us
Happy
tonight.
to be here.
So we will kind of get to Jackie's story a little later, but today we're going to start off with some hot topics. Whoop, whoop. All right, so y'all know the hottest of the hot topics this week is for sure that Oprah interview. Now, I'm going to just tell y'all right now, Oprah is the GOAT, in case y'all don't know.
She really is.
Of all interviewers.
Because she did not go easy on Megan either.
She didn't.
She said, since you don't research, let me just research.
When she said that,
how did you not know this?
She was like, I mean, you didn't do any research into this highly public family that you are about to enter? Okay.
But since you didn't research, let me give you some research that I've done for you.
Let me bring the receipts.
Lots of receipts. But it was interesting, and I think we are a health show, so I think the most interesting thing for me, of course, and for most people, is the fact that she was so depressed that she thought her life wasn't worth living anymore. Mm-hmm. And regardless of whether you love her or hate her, you have to realize like how devastating someone has to be at that point in time where they think, I have to take my own life. And so regardless of love, hate, you just hope that one, she's in a much better place now that they left. But I just look back and I'm like, wow, like that had to be super hard to come out and say, I'm not all right. Like I am not doing well.
But then
I think that was the most.
And people attack you.
Yeah.
It's like 10 times worse. Like Piers Morgan going at her the way that he did. I mean, allegedly he tried to shoot his shot and he failed. And that's part of the reason why he has so much disdain for her. So
wow.
Interesting.
That.
Well, I heard that.
Yeah,
But I thought one thing that she said that I was like, man, that's so true, is for some reason people have this idea that like, especially comparing her and Kate, like you have to either love them or hate them. There's no in between. Like you don't have, if you don't love them, fine, but you don't have to hate them either. I don't understand why she's so disliked amongst so many.
Yeah. Because she's Black.
Well, okay. Other than that.
Jackson, let's just get this clear.
Let's just go ahead and call a spade a spade.
Yeah. But yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I mean, definitely, that bomb she dropped about the conversation about how dark her baby's skin was going to be, and that being a conversation amongst the family.
Yeah.
I hope this second baby comes out blackety, 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 black.
Like her mama black? Like
yes, like black? Reach back to generations back. Blackety, blackety, black.
Dreads like her grandma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I want the baby to get dreads too.
All of that.
That's where I'm at with it at this point.
Black, black, black.
Well, they are in California, so maybe it's gonna happen. Maybe back home, where she's from. So, but it's sad. I mean, that was it. When Oprah's face and my face, we had matching faces at that point. I said, what?
Say what now? What? Yeah.
For sure, we had matching faces.
Harry is a no limit soldier for his wife, and I think that is like it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's definitely making some sacrifices. If this family wasn't talking to him before Sunday, they sure ain't talking to him now. Mm-hmm. I heard William already put out a statement defending the family, so ain't no going back now.
Yeah.
It's a clear distinction on which parent the kids are modeled after. So Harry is Diana, and William is his father.
Yes, for sure.
And it's very clear. And you know, even if William wanted to speak out for his brother, he sees what's happening to his brother. It's 9 times out of 10 not going to happen because he doesn't want it to happen to him. He doesn't want his wife to be scrutinized. He doesn't want his children to be scrutinized. Like he doesn't want that at all. But you know,
I think they were brought up differently. I mean, William was the firstborn, is the firstborn, so he was in direct line to be king. So, you know, even watching The Crown, like you can see how they treated Elizabeth and Margaret differently because Margaret was never going to be queen, and they treat William and Harry the same. Harry's never going to be king because even if something happened to William, it would go to his son before it would go to Harry. So
they really treat him like the redheaded stepchild.
Which
real life. He's ironic in real life, and they treat him so bad.
But yeah, he's definitely his mother's child.
Yeah.
So in other hot topics, today marks a year since the beginning of this global COVID pandemic. And we were talking earlier before we started that, you know, I don't think any of us could have imagined how devastating the losses would be in terms of the death toll. No one could have predicted that the United States would be leading in cases and in number of deaths per capita. And so here we are, but I do feel like there is, you know, hope for a new normal now that we have an additional vaccine company available, that being Johnson & Johnson, the single shot vaccine. So I do feel like hopefully by the summer we'll be turning the corner and we'll be approaching a new normal.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Fingers
Except
crossed.
for Texas, because you know.
Did you say Texas?
Because they don't believe in science, so.
They don't.
Well, at Mississippi, Alabama, I mean, all of the governors there have rescinded the mask mandates and have basically opened to full capacity. So
I'm actually going to Dallas next Friday.
And girl, don't do it.
Every mask that, I mean, I'm staying at a friend's house and he started his vaccination process, but I'm definitely taking masks. And I'm like, y'all can walk around without masks if y'all want to. But yeah, when I saw that, the first thing because me and a friend are going together, and we both were like, so they would do this right before our trip, huh? Like just say mask off. Okay, all right, okay.
See, the unfortunate thing about the mask is that you going and taking your own mask and wearing your mask, you're protecting them from you. But that mask, unless it's an N95, isn't really protecting you from them walking around with no masks. So that's
what the lights all on me.
Unfortunate, because people's decision to not wear a mask isn't necessarily affecting them, it's affecting everybody around them. And that's what's so selfish about it. And I don't understand why after a year people just can't get it through their minds. And everybody's like, what happened to the flu? Like, where did the flu go? There's no flu this year because we're wearing masks and they work. That's why there's no flu.
Well, I think the reason that people, until it hits close to home, it doesn't matter. So if you have not been directly impacted by COVID yourself, or somebody you're close to hasn't been impacted, it's kind of like, it ain't real. It's not happening. But then, like, because I've seen a change of tune from people. Like, I've seen people who were like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. And then somebody close to them got sick. And it's like they sing a whole different tune. So it's just like, it's sad that it takes for someone close to you or even yourself to be hit with it for it to be serious.
Right.
Human nature.
I think the hardest part is that people don't see what we see every day. You know, people haven't gone through what I go through every day.
Right.
You know, I hear the worst of the worst every day, to the point where the end of December, I was like, I need a vacation. I told Dr. Amber, I was like, you know, she was like, how was your day? And I was like, it was awful. I was like, it was bad. She was like, you never complain about work. I don't complain about seeing patients, but it had gotten so bad where every day there was some kind of, either a patient died from COVID, or people were telling me both my parents died the same day, and they were crying. Or I would see one of my nurses who I've taken care of for years who was like, I don't think I can be a nurse anymore. And this was every day, like every day for months. And if you don't see that every day, if it's not a part of your life every day, it does not affect you.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, this year was one of the hardest years as a doctor I've ever had in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It just was just devastating. So when I hear Texas opening up and Mississippi opening up, it's not even that I get like, I get pissed, like anger, like, because my mind is, how dare you? Have you not seen the devastation that I've seen? Have you not understood what this means? Do you not see what could potentially happen?
And we're
Do you not
so
see?
close.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you
We're
not
so
see?
close to getting to a good place.
Yes. Like, give us a minute. Give us a little minute. And I get businesses want to open up and life needs to happen, but give me a minute. Just a minute. Like a little. We are close. We are closer than we've ever been during this. And I'm telling y'all, this year felt like 5 years. So give us just a couple more months. But it's like, oh, I want my life back now. Okay, fine. Take your life back now. See what happens. Good luck to you.
Well, what I don't like, the thing that I don't like most about the rescinding of the mask mandate is that it puts the onus on healthcare workers and essential workers and business owners to enforce the mask mandate. And I just think that's not, I think that's not fair to put people who are already in challenging circumstances to add one more additional burden or responsibility, especially dealing with someone who doesn't want to wear their mask and they're, there's nothing to stand on except, we're not going to serve you. And now you're left to get into this one-on-one interaction with this person who's refusing their mask. And I just think that that's really unfortunate.
But money governors have gotten their vaccinations. I would bet money that those governors in Texas, the governors in Mississippi, just like Trump, they're all probably vaccinated, but yet they're opening up their states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we are going to move into our main topic today. We have Miss Jackie here with us today, so I'm super excited. Last week, my little nephew, Lil T, watched this show, and he was like, he told his mom, "No, that's not TT Mika. She doesn't wear glasses. That's Jack Jack." Because my hair was down. He was like, TT Mika don't wear glasses, and her hair is always in a ponytail. So my hair, Lil T, is in a ponytail, but I actually do. TT does wear glasses. So welcome, Jack Jack. This is Jacqueline Wilson. She's here today to talk about her story, her harrowing story about endometriosis and what she's been through, and to kind of talk to you guys about how you can advocate for yourself, because she definitely had to advocate for herself throughout this whole process and has continued to do so even today. I am super proud of you. I'm so excited that you're here to talk about your story today. Welcome to the Cape and D.
Welcome.
Thank you, guys. I'm really happy to be here. And it was probably a couple months ago, I said to Tamika, I think for National Endometriosis Month, I want to come talk to you guys for several reasons. One, it's a great platform because it's not every day that you see 4 Black women physicians get together and talk. 2, Tamika was an eyewitness to everything that I went through. And it's funny because it's like when I talk about my story, like, which is not very often, I usually say that she saved my life. And I don't know where I would be without her, because like literally, like when she says that I had to fight, I had to fight. So I've been fighting for 8 years now. Yes, so 8 years. So you guys just want me to go into it? Is that
Yes.
okay? So in 2013, I had a mass in my belly button and it was like protruding out. And I was like, oh, this is a hernia. This is for me working out. I'm like, okay, you know, no big deal. So I went to go see a general surgeon, got it removed, and she sent it to PATH. And it came back that it was endometriosis, which was foreign to me because I had never like even heard of it at the time. I didn't know what it was at the time. So my OBGYN at the time was a Black woman, and I was telling her, I was like, hey, so they found endometriosis in my belly button. And I was like, you know, I feel like my periods have gotten progressively worse, like to the point I cannot stand up straight. Like I would be in my bed, like curled over. I have been at work before and almost passed out because I was losing so much blood. I was in so much pain. There was no amount of painkillers that I could take. There was like no heating pad that was good enough. It was just like all bad. So her fix was, you know, birth control. You know, that's the first line of defense. Um, at the time, I didn't know birth control really doesn't do anything but mask what the real problem is. Like it works as a shield. So do you get some kind of relief? A little bit, but not like enough for it to make a big difference. So, you know, I saw her a few more times, and I was just like, no, something's wrong. I'm like, now it's to the point where I have pain in my chest when I'm on my period. And she's just like, no, like, you know, it's just a really bad period. So I was like, at that point, I gotta go. Like, I can't. So I went to Tamika and I said, I need to know who your doctor is. I want to go see your doctor. So I went to go see my current OBGYN. And you know, of course, I had all my medical records sent over. And she was like, okay, we need to go in laparoscopically. There was no, we're gonna wait. It was instantly like, we're gonna go in laparoscopically. So she goes in, successful surgery. At the time, I was stage 2. So even though I was stage 2, it felt probably like what a stage 4 would feel like. So then I was like, okay, you know, this is better. My periods got better for a while. But then in 2017, it was like I was going back down a bad road. I was like, okay, like my breathing is funny. My stomach is protruding, and I'll never forget, one of my friends was having a housewarming. Her and her husband had bought a house, and I went, and one of my girlfriends pulled me to the side, and she said, do you have something to tell me? And I was like, no. And she was like, are you pregnant? And I was like, at the time, I wish I could have said yes, but I was like, no, I'm definitely not pregnant. So I was like, okay, so no, this is a problem. I was constantly losing weight, but my stomach was protruding. So I'm like, no, like something's wrong. So I went to Tamika and I said, we need to run some tests. Like something is going on. So October of 2017, I was off the entire month because it had just got to the point where I was weak. I was tired all the time. I had got down to maybe 140 pounds, and I'm 5'11". So 5'11", 140 pounds is like really, really small. Like I'm naturally small, but this was like scary thin at this point. So I had my first thoracentesis, and they took, I think, about 1.5 liters, 2 liters off my right lung. And then they removed about 2 liters from my abdomen. So Tamika's like, what is this? Like, what is going on? So she's like, we got to go get you got to go get a CT. So I remember it was late at night. It was hard to get into a CT out here where we stay. So I had to drive like way across town to get this CT scan done, and got the CT, came back, and it was, showing that my lung was substantially smaller, like it had got small. So October 2017, I'm getting all this. So I've set up with a pulmonologist. I go see the pulmonologist, and when I walked in, he goes, I just knew you were going to be like 400 pounds based on the level of ascites that was in your abdomen and what's going on with your lung. So he's like, okay, we don't like to draw more than a liter, no more than 2 in an outpatient procedure, because that's a lot. So I'm like, okay. So we fast forward to December, January-ish, going into 2018. My breathing started acting funny again, to the point like when I would try to walk from my garage at work to the building, I would be winded. And it's literally like a 2-minute walk. So it was just bad. So I was like, Tamika, something's wrong. I was like, I don't know what's happening. So I went to go see an infectious disease doctor. I ended up getting infusions because I was severely anemic. My platelet count was through the roof. I was continuously losing weight. My appetite was just horrible. I didn't want to eat. And my period was just like running crazy. Like it didn't matter that I was on a pill. It was just like my period would come and go as it pleased. So finally, my pulmonologist said, you need surgery. And I remember going in to meet my thoracic surgeon. And this was March. So yeah, March of 2018. And I went in and I saw her, and she did an x-ray, and she said, I can't see your lung. She was like, it's completely covered. I can't see it. She was like, so we're going to look at the schedule, and, we'll see when you can, come in for the procedure. And I said, okay. That was a Wednesday. She called me Friday and said, your surgery is Monday. So I went to work, told my boss, I said, well, I'm going to be out for a couple of weeks, because that's what I was told. I was told that I would be out for a couple of weeks. This was it. I go in for the surgery on a Monday. They told me I would be there about 3 to 5 days, and then I could recover the rest of the time at home. My lung collapsed 3 times while I was in the hospital. I ended up there for 3 weeks. I had several breakdowns because I just was like, what is happening? And she told me, she said, your lung had got down to the size of a peanut. She told me that she had got to the point that if it had collapsed again, she was going to do another surgery and take my lung, and I would just have my left one. So I call my right lung Petunia. I named her. And so she told me, she said, your lung is not sticking to your chest wall. And she was like, so when you have a cycle, and she was like, normally when your body is supposed to expel the uterine lining every month and shed, yours is attaching. So it was attaching to my lung. So that's where the fluid was coming from. So she was like, we can try to stop your period, we can preserve fertility. But she was just like, until you have a baby and pretty much have a hysterectomy, this is kind of what you're going to deal with. So I went home. I had a Pleurex catheter in my chest, so I had to still continuously drain fluid at home. I did that for about 2 months, and then maybe a month before I was getting ready to go back to work, she took it out. So then her and my OBGYN got together and said that it would probably be better for me to be on Depo, because my OBGYN's question was, why did my first OBGYN not put me on Depo? She was like, because that's a better option for somebody with endometriosis, because estrogen kind of feeds endometriosis, and most birth control pills, they have estrogen, even the low dose ones. it's not effective, not in my case at least. So I went and got a Depo shot back to back to back. Depo is normally every 3 months. I got shot 3 times. So once a month. My period did not stop. So I told my doctor, I said, no, take me off of this. Put me back on the pill. I said, we can change my pill. That's fine. So then we tried Orlissa. Didn't help. And I was just like, okay. So I was kind of at my wit's end. I would call Tamika and be livid, because I was I don't understand. How is it that my body is being a traitor to me like this? What did I do? Why is this happening? And in my family, it wasn't something that was prevalent. I'm the first person actually that was diagnosed with it. So, here we are, 2018. My period is wacky. Every 3 months, I have to go in and get my lung drained. So every 3 months, I go in to see my pulmonologist. My thoracic surgeon is in the same clinic with the pulmonologist. So they kind of talk to each other. And I usually run into her when I'm there. And she's like, why are you here? What are you doing here? And I'm just like, you know why I'm here. I don't really want to be here, but I'm here. So fast forward February of last year, I made the decision to come off birth control. I was like, enough is enough. I was like, my body is not happy. I have no control over my periods. February of 2020, I bled for a month straight. Literally, I was miserable. And my birthday's in February too, so I was miserable. I was like, this is ridiculous. I was like, I just gotta stop. And just like that, my period regulated itself. So I was like, oh, so you just wanted me to stop, is what my body was telling me. So I stopped. I made changes to my diet to the point where I cut red meat out. I love Starbucks, but I kind of had to cut back on my caffeine, because caffeine can cause inflammation in the body. So does red meat. So I gave up my breakfast sausage and all of that. I started getting into a lot of herbal teas, drinking red raspberry loose leaf tea. I drink a lot of that. I have a lot of Manuka honey in my life. I drink tons and tons of water. I'm not a big sweets person. Sugars, kind of got rid of that. So my body kind of started to do its own thing. I started to feel better. I no longer was crippled over in pain where I couldn't walk. I can stand up straight. I have a normal cycle. I may have 2 or 3 heavy days, but it's not anywhere near what it used to be. So I know when it's coming. I know when it stops. So then September, I had to have the difficult conversation with my OBGYN. I said, look, I'm 35, getting up there. I want to have children, and, I'm not dating. So, that for me means, go through IVF, go scan through a book and find a donor and, go that route. And so she was like, okay. And I was telling her, I said, but I do have some weird pain, in my abdomen sometimes. And I was like, I don't know what that's about. And it's only on my right side. So I went and had an ultrasound done, and my right ovarian tube was pulling my bowels down. So I was just in pain. I used to be and I used to call Tamika and be like, okay, I don't know if this is gallbladder. I'm like, why am I having right flank pain? I was like, is it gallbladder? What is it? I was like, something is wrong. So once I got that, I said, okay. And she was like, well, I want to call in a GI specialist to look in when we do the surgery. She was like, because we're going to have to remove that. We're going to have to clear that out. So I was like, okay. So this is September of 2020. Go in. She does the surgery. I had fluid in my abdomen, and they removed that. They cleared out all of the tissue from my tube, and she ran dye through. So like my tubes are open, my eggs are good. But now, because of the extent of how much the tissue had grown between 2013 and 2020, I went from stage 2 to stage 4. So now I'm stage 4. But I would say a healthy stage 4, because I had surgery in September. So like everything has been cleared. So I went to go see a reproductive endocrinologist, and he ran all his tests and, was like, okay, IVF is probably the best bet for you. And he said, he was like, your eggs are really good. I was like, well, that's nice to know. Thanks. Numbers are good. This is trending in a positive direction. But then he called me another day and he said, are you sitting down? And I said, I can be. He said, I don't think you should carry your own child. And I was like, where did that come from? He said, well, he was like, I went back through your surgery notes and you have some adhesions on your bowels. And he said, I'm afraid that if you get pregnant with your uterus expanding, you're going to experience pain from those adhesions and your baby growing. I was like, so are we talking about pain, or are we talking about like life-threatening? Like, because there's a difference. Like, because pain, my PCP will say that I'm probably going to have like the best pregnancy ever because I've been through so much. He was like, once you've had a chest tube, you probably can tolerate a lot of things. And I'm like, okay. So when he told me that, it kind of like knocked the wind out of me, because I was like, what? I've went through all this surgery and you're telling me you don't think I should carry my own child? This is preposterous. Like, there's no way that you're telling me this. But I made the decision that I wasn't going to take his word for it. And the reason I didn't take his word for it is because my OBGYN, who has been treating me for 8 years now, the one who cut me open, the one who knows me the best, the one who has seen it all, has not one time told me that I cannot carry my own child. So when he told me that, I said, there will not be a surrogate. I said, I'm going to carry my own kid. Like, I was like, I believe you're good at your job. Don't think that I don't think that. I said, but I think that my body can handle this. And I think that I have an opinion of another physician who's known me a little bit longer, because this is during COVID. I've never met this man a day in my life in person. Like, all you're looking at are my files. You don't know me. You don't know how resilient I am. You don't know how strong I am. So for you to just like, okay, this is it, you shouldn't carry your child, I wasn't going for it. So that's basically my story in a nutshell. I've been very quiet about it. One of the misconceptions about endometriosis is that you don't look sick. Like, you look fine, or you've had your period. And it burns me up when men say, you've had your period a long time, you should be used to it by now. And I'm just like, y'all wouldn't last a day in my shoes. I guarantee you would not make it. Not even possible.
I think what's interesting about your story, and I've been in, I've known your story from the beginning, and so it makes things way different, I think, than most other things, is the fact that you've constantly told doctors what's going on with you. Like, you've constantly been the one to advocate for yourself. You've constantly said, hey, something's not right with me. Like, I'm 140 pounds, but I have this abdomen. Like, something's wrong. Or I can't walk, 2 minutes, which I'm healthy. I've worked out my whole life. I was an athlete in high school. I played basketball. I played volleyball. I should be able to walk to the door, from the garage to the door of my job. And so I think, what made you feel the need to start speaking up for yourself? Like, what pushed you in that direction?
I would say 2 things. No, 3. One is the fact that nobody walks around in my body but me. So if I'm telling you something is wrong, something is wrong. I mean, yeah, there's hypochondriacs in the world. I understand that. But for me, I don't like hospitals. I don't like necessarily going to the doctor. And if I'm telling you something's wrong, it's something wrong. Two, I always kept in the back of my mind is that I want to be a mother. And in order for me to be a mother, I had to be the healthiest version of myself. And I can't be that if I'm not getting proper treatment. The third thing that probably pushed me was being a Black woman. I feel like we're not heard. I feel like we're viewed as either we're super strong or we complain. There is no happy medium. So I was like, I'll challenge you. And like I said, my first OBGYN was a Black woman. And, I understand the importance of Black physicians. Like, if I could, I would do that. But my physician, my OBGYN that took me serious, that like literally has been there and was going to war for me and was like, no, we need to do this, we need to do that. She wasn't a Black woman. And I love her to death. And, I want more Black physicians and especially Black women physicians. I want when a Black woman walks into your room for you to take her serious. Like, don't just think that she's here just because, it's just a Monday and I feel like complaining, or I don't feel like going to work, or I'm looking for an excuse, because that's not what it is. And you only get one life, you get one body, and it's just like, if I'm doing my part to make sure that I'm good, if I'm spending this money at your office, you are for sure going to listen to me and make sure that I'm good. It's to the point now I will send a message to my PCP and he won't ask to see me. He'll be like, all right, let me schedule whatever it is that you need done, because he knows I'm not coming to him unless it's something really wrong. So
that is true.
Jacqueline, you know what? Can I share your nickname?
Which, oh God.
Well,
when I came on here, I said, I know she's gonna do this. And then
well,
everybody, all the people online are gonna know what my nickname is.
I love you to death. For all those out there, Jacqueline is my cousin, and I've never called her Jacqueline, I think, a day in her entire life. So this is Pooh to me.
Yes.
So, Pooh, can you please summarize or talk to that woman who tends to not make time for herself to go to the doctor because she has X, Y, and Z to do. So basically makes excuses for symptoms that she might be feeling, and she sort of rationalizes it away instead of going to get it checked out. Can you talk to that lady?
So, ma'am, Mrs., whoever you are, I would say to take everything serious. If something takes you out of your normal routine, it's worth checking out. If you have family history of something, check it out. I think a lot of times, I mean, I work in the healthcare industry, but just on the business side, I think a lot of times people are fearful for going to the doctor for what they're going to find out. Some people like not knowing until they know, and they wish they would have known sooner. Like for me, I wish that when I first moved here in 2007, I wish that I went to the OBGYN that I have now, because I think that things would have been different. I would also say to that woman, you get one shot at this life, and your quality of life is about how you take care of yourself. Like, nobody is going to take better care of you than yourself. And if you aren't putting that time in, paying attention to your body, you know, doing regular checkups, like I'm big on preventative care. Like a lot of things can be determined. Well, unfortunately, endometriosis is not something you can do with a blood test. You have to go in laparoscopy. You have to have surgery to know. But there are telltale signs that you can look for. Like if you're doubling over in pain, that is not normal. I think back to when I was in high school. I played sports. I never had to sit out a game because of a cycle. It wasn't until I got older that it got bad. So, excuse me. I also would encourage mothers, if you have teenage girls and your daughter is telling you that her period is bad and her cramps are bad, this is not a time for you to be like, oh, just stay home for the day. No, this is time for you to take her to the doctor, because what you do now can impact her in her childbearing years. You know, like I said, my mother wasn't aware that it got bad until I was an adult. Teen years, I was fine. It wasn't until I was out of house that it got bad. But, you know, now I look at my younger cousins and I'm just like, if y'all don't feel good, say something. Like just say it, you know, and it's okay. Like it's okay to not feel good and say it out loud. I struggled a long time being able to admit that something was wrong, even when I knew it was. Like I never wanted to let on that I had endometriosis or I was dealing with something so serious, because I didn't want to look weak. But I realized one of the strongest things I could do was come out and tell my story and possibly help somebody else. And it's very interesting. I've had about 5 women reach out to me on social media and tell me what they're going through right now. And they're saying that they've been dealing with stuff for like 8 years and their doctor is just telling them, oh, it's just a bad period. And I'm just like, find another doctor and quick. Like there's way too many qualified physicians in the world for you to feel like you have to be stuck. And I mean, I understand sometimes insurance gets in the way. You got to go to who your plan allows. And I think that's another thing, you know, we get so caught up in how much it's going to cost. Your life is worth more than a medical bill.
That is true.
It's so much, it's worth so much more. And, you know, there's women who are fine and then they have kids and then they start having issues. Take care of yourself, because you got to take care of your kids. You know, go see the doctor, like get that cleared up, figure out what's going on, because it can get worse before it gets better. But at least if you start a treatment plan, it's going to get better.
I think that the one thing that I would, you know, to piggyback off of what Jack has said today is, you know, no one knows your body like you.
Yeah.
Jacqueline her case of endometriosis in her lungs specifically is less than 0.2% of the population.
Yeah.
0.2% of the population have endometriosis as bad as Jacqueline's endometriosis that affected her lung. And so the fact that she kept advocating for herself is really why she got the diagnosis so quickly that she got. And it still took a while, but she kept asking the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Something's wrong with me. I'm not okay. And if you're not getting the answer that you want the first time, move on to the next doctor until somebody takes you serious and listen to what you have to say. Yeah. Because 9 times out of 10, you're right. You know your body better than anyone else. You know what your body's telling you. And your first doctor may never have seen this, because you might be in the 0.2% of the population that has this. So you're going to have to keep finding somebody till they'll listen to you. And I know it can be frustrating. And trust me, I listened to Jacqueline over the years talk about how frustrating this can be. But you have to do what's right for you, your body. As women, as Black women especially, we have to listen to ourselves. And so I want to thank you, my dear, for coming today and sharing your story, because hopefully your story will help other people get to the point where they can share their stories, but also go and take it a step deeper and actually see a doctor that wants to take care of them.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you so much. You have inspired so many people. There's so many comments about how inspirational you are and how brave you are for sharing your story. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
no problem. I was happy to come on and talk to you guys.
Thank you for being here. And welcome back to the show, Keisha.
Yeah, welcome back.
Feels good to be back, y'all. Love you, Pooh.
Love you too.
See, I wasn't gonna do you like that. You see, I was not gonna do
You
you
know-
like that. I was not gonna put your nickname out there in these
you
streets.
did let out Jack, and I was like, okay.
I did kind of let out Jack, but
I mean, literally, I don't answer to my name unless I'm outside of my family, because everybody calls me like one of the two names that they said. So I wouldn't be surprised if, I have friends who are watching this who are gonna text me like, "Hey, Pooh," or "Hey," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, you guys got jokes now." I won't get mad though. Those are good names. Those are good names.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining in tonight. We appreciate you so much, and we will see you next Thursday at 8 p.m.
Bye-bye.
Bye.